A few seconds later, I got a jolt in my chest. I felt like I slowed down for a second and then picked up speed. She says, I could hear the wind rushing by my ears. She was gasping for air as she wrapped her hand around a rock sticking out of the water. She had to hold on now, but she didn't know what would happen next. Erin Langworthy was born and raised in Australia. When she finished college, she wanted to celebrate the start of her adult life by going on a trip. She thought that starting in Zambia was a good idea. She knew it would be an amazing experience that she would never forget. But she didn't know that she would remember it for the wrong reasons. She didn't want to go anywhere with other people. She thought she should try being on her own for once. So, the 22-year-old went by herself. She also wanted to meet new people in Zambia and maybe make some new friends. She also thought that going on her own trip would give her more interesting stories to tell when she got home. Erin needed something exciting that would give her a chance that most people could only dream of. She jumped at the chance to do something amazing and would never miss it. She signed up to go bungee jumping with a tour group. Even though she was a little scared, she knew she would love it. Erin's mom wasn't very happy, though. She went anyway, even though she was told not to, and she is now at the Victoria Falls in Zambia. The bridge was 111 meters above the Zambezi River. The gorge was a very dangerous place to be. It was a cloudy day with a lot of humidity. Erin thought that the mood was a little scary. She would have liked it less. As the tourists looked down at their fall, the weather made Erin and the atmosphere even more nervous and tense. As Erin put on her harness, she was nervous. Everyone in the group looked down at the river. The fall would kill you for sure. I was nervous, but I didn't think anything bad could happen. Erin says, I was the 105th person to jump that day. She knew it was safe and that bad things didn't happen very often. Erin saw a lot of her group members leave before she did. She let the experts look at her harness to make sure it was on right. Then they tied on the thick rope that was the only thing keeping her safe. From the bridge, the view was beautiful. Why am I jumping off a perfectly good bridge? She asked herself. She should have gone with what she felt. She tried to stop her breathing as she looked over the edge. She shut her eyes and gave it a try. I was in the moment, so I just put my arms out and fell forward. Everything went by in a blur of blue and green. It was a great rush. But soon, once things took a bad turn, there would be no going back. She fell 40 meters before she felt the thick rope pulling on her body. She could only see the water and, even scarier, the rocks below. She did everything they told her to, but they didn't know what would happen next. And it would give her the kind of once-in-a-lifetime experience she was looking for. Erin kept falling for a while before her fall slowed down a little. But where the rope was supposed to spring back, Erin's rope made a loud and scary snap instead. A few seconds later, I got a jolt in my chest. I felt like I slowed down for a second and then picked up speed. Erin said, I could hear the wind rush by my ears. From then on, things got worse. Without thinking, I raised my arms and locked my hands together. Then I felt myself hit the water, which is when I knew something was wrong, she said. Erin got into the water in the safest way she could in her situation. She didn't pass out because she was able to think quickly. She was swept away by a huge splash as shocked onlookers watched. But the battle was just getting started. The bungee cord was still wrapped around Erin's ankles. It broke near the top because it had been used by so many people over the years. She said, the bungee cord had broken near the top, so I was still attached by about 30 meters, which kept getting caught. She couldn't keep up with the fast-moving rapids. She was swept down the river, and she tried desperately to get back and charge. The 30 meters of rope still attached to her then got caught on a rock in the riverbed. It looked like it could pull her under. She was so strong that she was able to dive under and free herself. She was able to swim to the riverbank and wrap her arms around a rock. She had to do nothing but wait. But she also had to wait for something else. When Erin and her tour group arrived that morning on the bus, they saw a lot of crocodiles along the way. Crocodiles lived in the water just below the bungee jumping area. She knew she was now in their territory and couldn't do anything about it. She said, I saw crocodiles in the water that morning, but I couldn't think about that. Erin miraculously made it through the fall and made it to the edge of the river. At this point, all she had to do was wait. She could just barely make out the screams and shouts from upstream. She knew they were coming for her, but she wasn't sure if she could hold on. All I could think about was holding on, she said. But time was moving very slowly. I now know I spent 40 minutes in the water. A man from the bungee company came to her aid. When he finally got to her, he pulled her out of the water by the bungee harness and gave her his shirt. Erin was fine, but she was shaking. She let the man carry her up the hill to the other people who were trying to help her. Erin thought the worst was over, but there was still a political problem to deal with. Because the Zambezi River ran along the border between Zambia and Zimbabwe, and Erin was pulled out of the river on the Zimbabwe side of the border, she couldn't get help right away. They couldn't call for help from local doctors because she didn't have a Zimbabwe passport. The tourists who were able to help her were now very angry. Erin had to take the long way to get to the hospital. To get her to the hospital took 5 hours. She was very tired and worried that she had broken something, but luckily nothing was broken. She was doing well at the hospital and kept getting unexpected visitors. The people who work at the bungee came to see her, and they told her that from now on, they would add extra safety measures to make sure that the same scary thing would never happen again. Erin remembers, they were very sorry and shocked that I had lived. When the hospital told her about Erin's fall, her next visitor bought a ticket to come help her right away. Her mother did it. Erin's mom flew out to check on her and make sure she was doing well. 2 weeks later, she took Erin back to Australia, where she met up with her friends and the rest of her family. Erin made it out of this dangerous situation alive to tell the story. Even though she might not bungee jump again, she has a memory that will last forever.